We're going to have a session, a workshop session, where we are going to make use of the toolbox information. This morning you have heard about the workshops we have organized in Lisbon and also here in Bucharest on Monday. So you have already got an idea what we have been doing then. But this afternoon it will be a condensed session. Basically what we did during the workshop session in Lisbon and also what we did during the session here 2 days ago in Bucharest. That was being done in a framework of 4 hours, and that is the same type of session we are going to have now in a framework of 1.5 hours. However, you have already seen the results of the workshop sessions as presented by Louisa and also by Oana. And you will have seen also the results of, let's say, the traffic light maps that are being produced. So, you know, you can have a, call it a kind of an advantage where you start from. So we can handle that in 1.5 hour, the type of session that we have been doing over the past times. But after that, we will have a coffee break. And we will continue with the next session. We will find the solutions in the toolbox. So you're going to have to make use of the toolbox. That also means that we are going to split the whole group into smaller teams, maybe of 7 people, and make sure that each team has access to a laptop or to a computer, so you can find things in the toolbox. Do we have enough laptops or computers in the group? Can we split up? Can we make teams? You know?
Hands up who has a computer.
We have. Oh, that's a lot. That's fine. And we have about 2, 4, 10, 14, 16, 20, 22, 6, 8, 13, 5. I think we can have about 4 teams. Well, actually, we should not have more than 4 teams because we only have 4 sets of maps. It's better to do it like that. So we split up into 4 teams. Each team grabs a set of maps. Make sure that there are a few laptops in the team. And I propose that 2 teams are going to the room next door. And Dragos knows where that room is. And 2 teams probably will remain here inside this room. Or maybe 1 team disappears to another side of the corridor. It's up to you. I'm going to introduce to you the case now. That is a completely fictitious case. But we use Bucharest as a kind of an example. And the city council of that fictitious city wants to redevelop the so-called central district area. They have a lot of specialisms in-house, but they decided to fly in kind of a multidisciplinary team of specialists specialized in urban redevelopment. And you see that is a really multidisciplinary team. We have urban planners here, as a subsurface specialist. And you know, they have really experience with doing such a job all over Europe. And they have also compiled a toolkit in which they have gathered all their information and all their tools about the products and processes. And they know how to handle such a case. So the first thing what this team says when they fly in, they say, show us the data. There's a whole lot of data, and you will be introduced to this data. It's data by an urban planner, and you have had already that introduction by Oana this morning. And you are very fortunate because Oana has left her presentation here with Dragos. So I propose that each team goes to ask a copy of that presentation at Dragos. So that is one living legend. There's another set of maps, and that will be introduced by a subsurface specialist, and he is present. He really acts as a living legend. Dragos, you will be introducing the subsurface topics. Also, with the help of all these maps. And you understand that each set of maps contains all these maps that you're going to be shown. Then the conclusion after this presentation will be by the 18. They ask for a simple redevelopment of this whole area, but actually, this whole city has a potential to become the greenest, most livable, sustainable and resilient city of this whole part of the world. And therefore, we need to take our holistic approach, integrate the subsurface and its potential into the urban renewal plan. We know that the subsurface poses a lot of problems, but it also has presents us with enormous opportunities. And that it has enormous opportunities that the people on Monday have already demonstrated in that workshop. They were really very active. At first, I have to say, they were a bit doubtful about how to handle this whole topic. But then after half an hour, they made enormous progress. And we were very impressed by the results. So probably we will also be very impressed with your results. And then you will say first, indicate in which part of the central district, according to you, the subsurface presents the biggest limitations and opportunities for redevelopment. Basically, that is the traffic light workshop that you have explained this morning. What kind of opportunities does it present for redevelopment? That is what you have heard as well in the second workshop that was presented this morning. And then you're going to ask yourself, what kind of a planning regime does this city live in? Does it compare to somewhere else? Find your example in the front view of the toolbox. How do you want to tackle the subsurface issues? Come up with products and processes, to be found in the toolbox. And then all that knowledge, how do you bring it together? How do you bring urban planners and subsurface specialists together in the most effective way to solve this issue? Do you want to make them work in a workshop setting? Or do you think, it's better maybe to create a kind of a multidisciplinary team, like in Oslo? Or do you think, the real solution for this fictitious city is that we embed a geologist in the city council? And they also want to show the city council at the end, that this holistic approach of redeveloping of this area really could contribute to increasing the quality of living in the city of Bucharest. How are you going to do that? Because we have seen the city council people that they like to promote themselves. So how can they promote themselves, at an international level with our subsurface? That's the A team, so it brings its own toolkit. And first we get an explanation by the specialists. Second, we make the traffic light maps, as indicated this morning. Third, we say about how to integrate opportunities of the subsurface into the ambitions of the city planning. So the third part of your question is, which topics do you have to deal with? What type of data? What underground topics are going to offer you a problem? No. It's clear, it's groundwater, the main topic. What kind of data do you need to solve that groundwater issue? Do you need to have, for instance, a 3D model, or does a 3D model not apply to you? What type of 3D model do you want to choose? Do you want to choose, for instance, the 3D model of Vienna? Or do you want to apply a different 3D model that you can find in the toolbox? So you look at the front wheel, which cities in Europe are comparable from a planning point of view. Use the evaluation framework of city cases that is supplied in the toolbox. And you know, the whole thing is, if you look in the toolbox and you don't know where to find the answer, the specialists, they are walking around. So for instance, on the evaluation framework of city cases, if you open up you know, the website with his photograph, you only see his front head. That doesn't help you. But he is also around here. Rob? Rob is, yes, over there. So can you find comparable cities and also with similar issues? We have produced a whole data sheet with information about that. Now how do you make them together? You know, that's what we discussed before. And then, of course, also you have to present it to the city council. What do you need to do to convince the city council that this area, this whole city has, you know, the potential to become the most livable, sustainable city in this part of the world? So, as said before, we divide up the whole group into a few teams. Use the toolbox to find your inspiration. Use all the contact persons, you know, that are also indicated in the toolbox, and they are live around. And basically, well, here it says after each team will present their solutions. I think it is better, because in view of the time frame, that we will have a tea break at a certain point. But we will present the solutions at the end of the exercise. So we do the whole exercise at once. And then at the end we can discuss about the results. And hopefully you will have got an experience about working with the workshop. And hopefully you can give us input in what you think should be improved about the toolbox. So that's it. May I ask Dragos to give an introduction to the subsurface issues in the area? Have you got your maps there? Or
No, I don't have my maps.
Okay, I've got them here. Whole PDF, that's all the notes combined.
All the PDFs.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have a general map of Bucharest, unfortunately.
It's in the presentation.
It's in a presentation. Well, I can switch to the presentation of one, and I can just slide some between the slides and explain to you. Well, I'm not going to repeat Juana's presentation, so I will just remind you that this area is located in the southeast part of Bucharest, on either sides of the main river from Bucharest, Dâmbovița River. From the point of view of, let's say, subsurface, which is what we are interested in, I will leave this one, or the, no, where is the cross section I needed? No.
It's in the other
Yeah, but I can switch from there. Yeah. So, it's a cross section from let's say, somehow perpendicular to Dębowica River. Here is Dębowica. Here is the north part, northeast part. Here is the southeast part. So you will try to put this spatially at the beginning of the area. We are interested in the lithological strata, or the succession of lithological layers. The first layer on the left side is formed by a not so thick layer of slurs from the lithological point of view. So it's unsaturated zone, an unsaturated zone. It is called superficial deposits. Then you will find that in the right side you will find thicker layer of slurs, or unsaturated zone, and underneath it is the first shallow aquifer. Shallow aquifer with high hydraulic conductivities, high flow rates. So it is quite important if you are thinking about the outwatering and all this stuff. And the hydraulic conductivity, let's say we are speaking about 40-50 meters per day. So quite intense. There is a direct connection with the sewer system beneath Dębowica River. So actually there is a drain down there, and it drains the water from either sides of the river. It doesn't drain all the water as it was in natural case, but still drains the water from the aquifers. Then beneath this first shallow aquifer, there is another clay deposit. This is more formed with about more clays and silty clays, but this is disappearing in the east part, and I will show it on the map also. There is a direct hydraulic connection. Actually, you cannot divide these two aquifers. This is the intermediary aquifer, or the second aquifer, whatever you want to call it. As a name, local name, this first is called Colentina, the second one Mostiștea, but doesn't matter because the shallow one with the free surface, then we have the under pressure one beneath this, in some cases in direct hydraulic connection. Actually, you can see also the levels in the two aquifers. They are mainly the same. Possibly in some cases the lower aquifer has 20 or to 50 centimeters higher piezometric level, hydraulic head. This one is formed mainly from sand and fine sand to medium sand, not coarse sand, not gravel. This is more with hydraulic conductivities ranging by around 1 to 5 meters per day. This is the hydraulic characteristics. So this is what we are interested in, the succession of layers underneath our study area. Now, sticking also to geology, I don't have an apple, so please forgive me. This is the last one. This is a map I made. I already told you that in the right side of the river there is a thick layer of loess, and you will find it here. This is the depth to the first aquifer formation. It is not the depth to water. It's the depth of the thickness of the first layer deposit. So we'll find values from 0 to 5 in the lowlands, and then it is thickening on the terraces until 25 meters or something like this. Please keep in mind it is loess, and loess has a certain geotechnical problems, but it's still thick enough in this part. What you will find also in the maps is the hydraulic head. Due to the fact that our model is located, and it is the extent of our model is the whole Bucharest. You saw it like a circle. This is in a boundary of that. So, we didn't have time to make another model, especially for the toolbox. Please try to ignore the values from the last two piezometric hydraulic heads, because actually it goes above the terrain. But you can use this part, and you can use also the hydrodynamic spectre, or the shape of this hydraulic heads. What you can see and what you can observe is this part that one already told you. This is a natural, let's say, it's one of the biggest natural urban protected areas. This part. In autumn, in the workshop we had there, some of you visited this wetland. So you see the shape of the piezometric line. This is only for the first aquifer, the shallow aquifer. But if you remember, I said that the second aquifer has a similar hydraulic head. Another important map is the natural recharge values, So the natural recharge from rain and snow melt are calculated using the soil conservation model by USGS, I believe, and it is the modified model in order to satisfy the urban areas. This is the SCS was developed for agriculture, land use, or forestry, or something like this, but there are some modifications, especially for urban areas. So we calculated here, you will find in this polygons, you will find the value of how much water in millimeters or liters per day it is infiltrated into the first aquifer. It was created for the model itself, for the groundwater model itself. So you will see different patterns of the urban fabric that respond differently to the recharge. In consideration of recharge was taking not only the land use, but also the soil type, and also the slope, and the vegetation, and also the precipitation, which were not evenly distributed. In Bucharest, it was Tisan grid made from 20 or 16 rain gauges that we created, we have distributed along Bucharest. So here you have the recharge per day, because this was into the model. Another map that is of interest could be the map of the main sewer system. And when I talk about sewer system, I'm speaking about the sewer system greater than 400 millimeters. Less than that, well, we don't have the data, and mainly less than that, there is this infrastructure is very superficial. But keep in mind that in our case, in Bucharest case, the sewer system is gravitational, so water flows gravitational, and in some cases it goes deeper and deeper, and needs to be repumped in some cases. So why we put this sewer system greater than 400 is because it, in many of the cases, is entering the first aquifer, and it is big also. So you have two main collectors along the Dâmbovița River, so you have the main collector beneath Dâmbovița River, and then two other large collectors, sewer collector, that are running around Dâmbovița. The first one on the right side, well, is not parallel in this section, but otherwise in upstream is going to be parallel, this one. And the diameter of this is around 2.5 meters, so it's a huge or big collector. And the second one is called B0, this one is A0, this is B0, the same structure, and only it is on the left bank of river Dâmbovița. Also you have a historical map of this area, this is not very historical. This is around 1670s, where in the natural park didn't exist. It was a suburb of Bucharest with houses and a prison and a monastery, something like this. Actually, the history behind this area of this wetland is that in the 80s, the communist regime wanted to put Romania as Bucharest actually on the map of ports. So he wanted to build a port at the Danube. So he tried to build a very large channel from Danube, which is 36 kilometers away. And this was the main port of Bucharest. And he constructed a large hydrotechnic infrastructure, hydraulic infrastructure, like a big lake. And he filled it up in the 90s. In the beginning of the 90s, they tried to fill it up, and they lost all the water. So after that, nothing happened, and this structure began step by step to be developed in a wetland. And it's urban delta now. It's very interesting, very, very interesting. So you can see that in that times, in the 70s, in the 60s, there were still humans living there, with were houses, a jail, a monastery, and all this stuff. Then you have also land of gardens, glass gardens here for vegetables and all this stuff. And this part where you see a lake, it's still now a lake, but very small. You will see it in the other maps. It's very small in this part. But now in this part is a landfill, a big landfill, the biggest landfill in Bucharest that is closed now, but still it was used until last year. So you will find here another, let's say, constraint, because here you have a landfill where you see the lake. And this small village close to Bucharest, it's still not Bucharest, if it is interesting from the point of view of urbanists. They are still, let's say, independent from water sources, sewer system. No, sewer system is not independent, but water source, water supply is independent, and they want to stick independent. I don't know the reasons, maybe politics. It's a city within the border of Bucharest. Actually, you don't see the difference from the planning perspective. You exit Bucharest and you enter the next city. There is no buffer zone or something like this nowadays. Okay, another aspect is at the end here in this part, even though it is not in the study area, there is a wastewater treatment plant. It actually is the wastewater treatment plant of Bucharest. The altitude I don't need to explain. I think you see the lake, it still remains. Well, it's smaller than this actually, but here is the landfill. Well, I think more or less this is what's about the area. I cannot explain this. I think wanna explain it, or if there is a legend for this. This is more for urbanists. I don't enter in that part. I think this is the part that they divided in the 90s. What are the utilities of the surfaces? What are the services that they provide each of these polygons? And you will find it in the legend, which is mixed Romanian and English translation. So if you have questions, specific questions, I have now to answer, and also during the workshop, directly on the maps.
Okay, thank you very much, Marcos. So it's up to each team. Divide yourself into teams now, and I propose that two teams remain here, and two teams will disappear to another room.
Maybe the urban planners should be the leaders of the teams.
Yes, that is a good sorry.
Yep.
I have a question. Do we have any information on demographics? How big this should be in the end? Or
I can tell you, I can make a history, but I don't have any demographics. Sorry. I can tell you what neighborhood develop more or areas, but still, I don't have any numbers, especially for that area. I just can tell you from my knowledge how it evolved, but no, I don't have any numbers.
So make sure that each team is really a kind of a multidisciplinary team. And you will have to do with this information. And if you want to have the presentation by Oana from this morning, you can ask Dragos.
Somebody's going to make a move.
Yes.